Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Paint Table. This is my weekly show about what I've been working on, what I got done, and what is coming up. So, without further ado, this is the budget from the cottage edition of On the Paint Table, where you guys get to see the six figures I painted while I took a week off and traveled to my family sort of like ancestral cottage out in the Kawarthas in northern Ontario, a place called Bob Cajun. So I've been working on some Marvel Crisis Protocol. My buddy Kevin Stewart's coming down to get back to some MCP. And like I said last week, the folks at Atomic Mass Games were nice enough to send along some models for me to paint. And I picked up a couple of my own. I picked up Cable and I picked up Deadpool and Domino to do some mutants. I was really pumped for X-Force. X-Force is one of my favorite comics. So we'll start with Cable. I painted him and Sabretooth all with the new Army Painter stuff. They are sort of a classic like 90s Cable paint style. I didn't add all of the extra pouches I could have added, but I did add quite a few. He was painted from white base coat. I just base coated everything with a Painter's Touch 2-in-1 white primer. And I assembled them all actually while I was up here. I just basically stuffed all these models and the Army Painter Mega Paint set into a cardboard box and threw it in the back of my truck along with all my kids' bikes and stuff. I used the steel color from that Army Painter set for all the weapons and a dark, like sort of rich blue that came with it. I used an orange brown that's from that same Army Painter Mega Paint set for the strapping. And then gave everything a wash. The metallics were done with dark tone. And then the cape, which was I think a leather brown, was done with the soft tone. And then just highlights and stuff. Sabretooth was done with the same sort of like orange brown, I think, as the sort of desert yellow. And then I actually used a scale 75. I did dump some scale 75 paints in there, a few like my favorite metallics and stuff. And then it's leather brown, dark, I think it's orange leather maybe, or leather brown. A lot of these things have the same names for scale 75 for his clothing, but desert brown from Army Painter for the like majority of the suit, skeleton bone for the sort of tufts, and then for the hair and stuff, just up to mummy wraps basically. With a soft tone wash. The bases were all done with Necromancer Cloak actually, with strong tone washed over top of it, and then dry brushed with the like light medium gray. Mr. Deadpool and Bob, also known as Mr. Bob Dabalina, probably my favorite Bob, like Del the Funky Homo Sapien song. They were painted up with, I think it's Dragon Red as a base tone, and then that same Necromancer Cloak for the black and red on Deadpool, and then leather brown for all the strapping, and the same like steel color from Army Painter for the weapons. He was given then like the dark tone wash and a bit of the strong tone on the leather wraps and stuff, and then highlighted up through just pure red, I think is the other Army Painter paint. And I actually used again a scale 75 for the little gold bits there, which was, I think it's called, it's like necromantic gold. It's like a weird greeny gold. It's really cool actually, but I wanted like a kind of muted down tone for it. And I happen to have them stuffed in my Army Painter box of paints. Bob is painted with orc skin, I think, and then desert yellow for the strapping. And actually, instead of using like a pure yellow to highlight it all, I used a yellow that's in there. It's actually like an elven flesh. It's like a yellowy kind of flesh tone. The actual missile launcher is dark stone, and the bases are all done the same as on Wolverine and Sabretooth. They're actually really easy models to paint. Just because of all like sort of the similar colors and stuff. I kept the swoosh off of Deadpool. I debated putting it on and then just kind of decided not to. Domino and Wolverine, I did using some of the similar sort of tones. It was Necromancer Cloak for Domino, and then like the slate gray for the skin and stuff like that. Actually, it was almost Necromancer Cloak for everything. And then a bit of metallic for the metallics. And then I think I used the scale green for her sort of like off the different color patches on her legs and stuff like that. Washed with dark tone. And then I actually kept the white primer on the explosion underneath and just kind of almost like lightly washed in some spots the dark stone onto it. So when it came time to make it look like it was exploding from inside, I actually just thinned down the burning orange that comes in the Mega Paint set and washed it in along with a little bit of yellow, and that kind of made it by doing that, by using like a watery thinned down paint, you can have it recede into the cracks and kind of give that exploding from inside kind of look. Everything was just blended up by mixing like mummy wraps, which is like a beige, into the light and dark grays to kind of blend up the sort of like the jumpsuit that she's wearing. And then I did a sort of like a final like highlight of leather mixed into that necromancer cloak for the, or like leather wraps and stuff like that. Wolverine, the same blue as on Cable. Actually, it's like the dark blue blended up with a bit of like the lightning blue mixed into it. I did the yellows on him the exact same as I did on Bob's yellows. So like a desert color washed with soft tone and then blended up through to the lighter yellow, and the elven flesh is like a final highlight. And then the sort of like end of the sort of like finishing touches and stuff were just the silvers on the claws, some black highlighted up with just a bit of that necromancer cloak for the sort of like the dags and stuff that are painted onto his suit, and then some nice like bright reds for his belt and his X-Men symbol. And that's pretty much it. So there's my rainy day painting from Bob Cajun. Happy wargaming.